Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dr. Brandon W. Jones, your Chief Village Building Strategist, and I'm so excited to be back recording podcast episodes again. It's been a minute since we've last been together. I think it was July 2nd. The last time I was able to get an episode put out there, and I've gone on vacation since then. School has started back. My kids are back in school. The university that I work for is back in school. The kids that I pastor are back in school, and so yeah, it's been a minute. And as I always tell you all, when you're self-funding an effort like this, and when you're the one editing and recording and doing everything, I need a little bit of time. Well, you'll find yourself needing a little bit of time to recuperate and get back in the swing of things. And because I also do public speaking, and I've had to do some traveling as well. And so I'm grateful to you all for still tuning in, for still connecting. And I hope that this content continues to be relevant for you. If you're new to the Building the Village family, why don't you do me a favor and like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this episode from. And of course, as always, you can follow along on the link tree. It'll be in your episode liner notes wherever you're listening at. Or you can follow at B Jones Speaks on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram. I guess I should start saying X, but I just can't bring myself to do that. But X, formerly known as Twitter, all at B Jones Speaks, at BJONESSPEAKS. And one of the things I wanted to do in getting back in the groove of doing podcast episodes, but also planning content for the rest of the calendar year of 2024, is I want to spend some time talking about content specifically that relates to some of the things that are near and dear to my heart. And since it's back to school season, and school has started back, and we're past Labor Day, everybody's back in the swing of things. I had a chance to, just to give you all context, I had a chance a couple of weeks ago to speak at a student leadership conference. And that's one of my favorite things to do in the month of August, and really throughout the course of the academic year. But definitely in the month of August, I love encouraging and motivating and inspiring students in the K through 12 system. But my heart and my passion really lies with motivating college students. And so a couple of weeks ago, I gave this talk called Ready for the Moment. And that's what I want to share with you all today, just the highlights of that conversation that I had with those students. I'm hoping that my university is going to be able to make that presentation available. If not, not a big deal. But you all who are part of the Building the Village family, you're going to get the dose of a dose, I should say, of what I shared with those students. And so this episode is going to be a little bit different, because this message is catered towards college students. However, don't cut the episode off. Don't turn it off. Don't disengage. I really want everybody to listen to this, because I want you to see what you can get out of it, because everybody in the village needs to be ready for the moment. For this particular group of students, these were mostly first time in college freshmen. However, this moment can be for a person taking on a new job. The moment could be a person entering into a new business relationship, or a personal relationship, or someone moving to a new city, someone experiencing a period of transition. I think that this message is relevant. While it was addressed to college students, I think it's relevant for a broader audience. And you all can tell me what you think when this episode is done. And so what I want to do is start with the first point that I shared with that group. And that's that if you're going to be ready for the moment, number one, you need to know what your why is. You need to know your why. Simon Sinek, the author of Start with Why, and all of those, the Know Your Why talks, and all of those subjects around the why. he says that your why is a purpose, it's a cause, or it's a belief. And so one of the things that I challenge the students to think about is, why am I here at this particular institution? Why did I choose this major? And what are the things that you want to accomplish this semester? And I want them to think about why they want to accomplish those goals. Now, you may be out of college. You may have never gone to college, or you may be thinking about going to college. Wherever you find yourself, I do think that those key questions are important. Why am I in this city? Why did I move to Austin, Texas? Why did I move to Denver, Colorado, or wherever you're listening from, right? Do we have anybody in Denver? Anyways, uh, why am I here at this place? Why am I at this job? Why did I choose this profession? And what are the things that I want to accomplish with the time that remains in this calendar year? And when this can be applicable regardless of when you're listening to this. I know I stated what the year was earlier, but at the same time, that doesn't matter, because this point still remains. You need to ask yourself those questions. You need to know your why, because a day and a time is going to come when life is going to get to life, and things are going to get a little chaotic and crazy. And you're going to ask yourself, why am I putting up with this? Is it worth me continuing on with this job, in this relationship, in this city? But you always need to be able to go back to your why, that core purpose, that cause, or that belief that guides you, because you got to remember why you did this. You got to remember why you signed up for this, why you applied for it. There was a reason why you did this. And so go back to that, write your responses. I encourage the students to write the answers to those questions that I asked down, so that they can come back to it later on. And so I want to challenge you to do the same thing. The other thing I would challenge you to do is, when you write the answers to those questions, put those answers somewhere that you can see on a daily basis. Put it on your mirror, attach it to the monitor on where your computer is, something that you're going to see on a continual basis. And when you look at that, let that inspire you, let that motivate you to continue pursuing the thing that you set out to achieve wherever you find yourself. And then the second thing I told our students was, this was a student leadership conference. So I told them, you need to define what it means to actually be a leader. So you need to know your why, and you need to define leadership for yourself. Now, I gave them several definitions. I'll share them with you all. Kevin Cruz says that leadership is a process of social influence which maximizes efforts of others towards the achievement of a goal. And then Dennis Roberts, one of my favorite definitions of leadership, says leadership is conviction in action. Leadership is conviction in action. And that can go a couple of ways, right? You can be convicted for some stuff that's not so good. You can be convicted about some things that are great. But leadership is conviction in action, which means everybody can be leaders. And then my third favorite definition for is leadership is influence. That's from John C. Maxwell. Leadership is influence. All of us have influence, whether you're in college, whether you're a high school student listening to this, whether you are a parent. If you're a parent, you definitely have influence. If you're not a parent, you have influence, whether it's in your circle of influence at work or amongst your peer group, whether it's at your church or your civic organization. Everybody has influence, and it's not the title that makes you a leader. That is very important. It's not the title that makes you a leader. It's how you steward your influence. And so I would ask you two other questions. Number one, how are you defining leadership? And number two, what steps will you take according to that definition that you've created for yourself? What steps are you taking to be that leader that you've defined? And if you have a definition and you're not living up to it, what steps can you take to live up to it? And if you're not aware of that, that's what the village is for, to help you steward your influence well, to help you maximize your presence in the spaces that you find yourself in. And so, again, you want to know your why, You want to define leadership. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to develop the habits to be ready for the moment in the village. You've got to develop the habits. John C. Maxwell says that the secret to your success is going to be found in your daily routine. What are those things that you're doing on a regular and consistent basis? What are those habits, those things that you do on a regular and consistent basis that are helping you move towards those goals that you set for yourself? How are you showing up in the village? What are those habits that the people in your village can count on you doing, because it's the thing that only you can do? That's what makes you special to the village that you're in. And so, a couple of key strategies that I want to encourage you to take advantage of is number one, you got to learn to ask for help. That is a good strategy. Whether you're a college student, a parent, a airline pilot, you definitely need to be asking for help, right? A lot of us don't want to do that. I've noticed that the people that I engage with on a regular basis, the students that I work with, we are struggling to ask for help, especially high performing athletes or high achieving students or type A personalities or whatever the case may be. You got to learn to ask for help. We all don't show up knowing what we need to know. We have to get there. Somebody coached us, somebody mentored us, someone tutored us, but you've got to learn to ask for it because it's not just going to fall out of the sky. The second strategy that I recommend is you want to learn to say no. No is a complete sentence, folks. It is an absolute complete sentence. You can also say, I don't know. Because guess what? 9 times out of 10, the people watching you, the people who are following your influence, they know you don't know. So there's no sense in pretending. This fake it till you make it thing, that's cute and cool, but who is it really serving? Pausing for dramatic effect. Sometimes saying I don't know is the best habit we can develop. Now, don't make it a habit of not knowing what you need to be knowing. However, there are going to be moments that you need to spend time being a learner and following. And we're going to have an episode about that soon where we talk about the art of being a follower, because everybody want to be a leader. Very few people want to be a follower. And there's nothing wrong with being a follower, because before you can become a leader, you got to be a good follower. Anyways, learn to say I don't know. Also, create routines and map out your plan. You got to develop those habits. Here's the next thing. I told the group that they need to learn to, as my boss says, differently do. You got to learn to differently do, because there's not going to be an excuse to do nothing, because doing nothing is still doing something. And so, a couple of strategies with differently doing. Number one, be okay with making mistakes. We're in learning environments in our academic institutions. Well, at least we should be, right? Because sometimes learning, uh, sometimes making mistakes, we're fearful of that, because if we're afraid of asking for help, in some instances, we're also going to be afraid of making mistakes. Be okay with making mistakes, because it's through making mistakes that we demonstrate our intellectual curiosity. And then also, it's how we learn. We didn't learn to walk on the first strides. It was through the falling, it was through the stumbling, it was through the learning to stand up. If we can do that with children, as adults, we need to be okay with making mistakes. And also, bump for bonus points, can we start leaving room for people to make mistakes in our lives? We need that in the village. The village needs to be a safe place for people to make mistakes, to learn, and to be able to learn from them and grow. So we got to be okay with making mistakes, and then thinking creatively, thinking outside the box, and not just doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. Why? Because that's the definition of insanity, right? Then we have to ask questions. Who do I need to talk to about this? Where can I find this information? What role do I want to play in the village? How am I going to navigate this, that, or the other? And then the last strategy around differently doing is you got to challenge yourself, push yourself, think outside the box, think creatively, be okay with making mistakes, ask questions, and again, challenge yourself. Push yourself beyond those limitations. And I promise you, you'll not only be differently doing, you'll be more than ready for the moment. And then last but certainly not least, after everything I've shared, you want to maximize the moment. You don't want to just be ready for the moment. You want to maximize the moment. You want the carpe diem, the seize the day. You want to be a seizer of the day, not seizure, or not seizure in the other sense of take. You want to seize, as in capture and take the day. Now, how do I do that? How do I make the most of the moment? Well, number one, you got to level up your skill set. I think I've talked about that in another podcast episode before. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but you got to get better. Where you are today should be different than where you will be. Where you are this time next year should be different than where you are today. Where you are right now should be different than where you were this time last year, skill wise, because the goal within our skill development is to get better over time. The other thing I've told people is to join the professional associations that are in their respective fields. For students, I've told them to join the professional associations in their fields as student members. There may be some limited memberships that you can get, but whatever the professional association is that you have, or that's a part of the discipline that you have your vocation in, join that association, because there's resources, there's research, there's funding, there's money that's available, there's learning enhancement tools that they provide, but you got to take advantage of them. I also encourage people, as part of the strategy for maximizing the moment, is to get a mentor. And I've talked about that at other podcast episodes, and I'll talk about it again at a later one. But who's helping you get ready for the moment? Who's helping you make the most of that moment? That's the role of that mentor. And then this is for free, but also get you an advocate. Advocates speak your name when you're not in the room. Advocates are advocating on your behalf. You want both mentor and advocate. And then lastly, use the resources that are available to you. You don't have to be the smartest person in every room you walk into. In fact, you shouldn't be. That's for another day. But use the resources that are available to you. And that could be the mentor, that could be a professor, that could be a preacher, or somebody on the city council or in the school board, or that's a part of an organization that you're in. But use the resources that are available to you, especially if they're free. Now, if you've already got a paid membership to something, or if you're already part of a group or an organization that provides resources that help you achieve your goals and help you in the pursuit of your why, you want to maximize that. Make that happen, because the village needs you. The village needs people that are ready for the moment, whatever the moment is. And so, if you got something out of this, if this makes sense, let me know by commenting wherever you're listening from, or reaching out to me on social media at B Jones Speaks. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you thought about this episode, and if this was helpful, and if you want to have more conversations about this, let me know. But until the next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and go and be great. Take care.